have you with us. Hi everyone, welcome to this live stream. Very welcome to join. This is MJ, hopefully your favorite live streamer. We had a bunch of problems on the last one, but just adjusting this for a second. Supposedly things should be okay. How are you, J-Boy? How's everything? We're using the hey Bella, how you doing? We're using the Prism widget instead of the regular, live streaming burn, and it shows a little background on it. Might be easier to follow. So we're here at Mr. Wu's, and he's doing his thing here. Yeah. Oh boy, that's not good. I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. And just when many countries are loosening restrictions, due to the availability of the new vaccines. So, J-Boy, in India, are you guys using the Sinovac, or are you using, Pfizer? Which one do you have available? So, no, it is. It's my contention that it's engineered, but hey, what do I know? I'm not a virologist. I'm just a guy who lives across the water from where it started. Alright, so I want to welcome everyone to Taiwan Live TV. Thanks for joining. I am MJ Klein. Been living in Taiwan for about 17 years. We're at a place here that's recently opened up. It was over on the other side there, and I tried to show the other day. Now, we have been having some problems with the endpoint. Supposedly, I'm connected to the Singapore server, and this is like, normally, I don't have any problems at all. We've got a pretty, a pretty good signal going on. But anyway, the boss is named Mr. Wu, and this is Mr. Wu here saying hi to everybody. So we appreciate that. That's also the YouTube thumbnail. Now, what I wanted to show you on the last live stream on Thursday, which I wasn't able to, was there have been some updates, and even some more updates today, about that terrible train accident that everybody's been reading about in the Taiwan news. Now, okay, well that's good, because a lot of people don't want the Sinovac, and they're using it, for political purposes to, like with the Philippines. The Philippines only has access to Sinovac, so it makes it kind of hard for them to kick all those 200 and some fishing boats out that are occupying their exclusive economic zone. This politics just irks me. All right, let's do this. I want to show you what the train looked like. This is a picture of the devastation. Okay, this is just, look at this. This is off the charts. That looks like part of a train and part of maybe the station bathroom or something. Yeah, well, I wouldn't use it. And then Taiwanese aren't having it. They're not using any of the Chinese vaccines. In fact, only 3% of the population in a recent study showed that they would be willing to take the Sinovac vaccine, because it would be just like the Chinese to give us a special version just for us. But look at that. You can see in the far right hand section, the big piece of the side of the train with the orange stripe that's missing. But you can clearly see, I guess it looks like a restroom, and you can see windows and things in there. That's all. That whole thing that you see there is part of the train. It's been severely damaged. It's crashed. Here's another shot showing the day that they removed the last carriage on April 7th. The final carriage. It does. That's what happens. It's amazing what happens to metal, The final carriage of the Taroko Express train involved in a deadly crash on April 2nd that left 50 people dead. More than 200 injured, was removed from the Chingshui Tunnel in Hualien County late Tuesday. And you can see, the damage is just, so The driver and the driver's assistant perished almost immediately. Now, this is what came out today. I'll move this over here. Now, I explained earlier about the cultural custom of reassembling bodies, at the mortuary service, bodies that have been dismembered and so forth. For whatever reason, they want to cosmetically reassemble them. Of course, not medically. They're not trying to reattach blood vessels or things, but they're just basically putting the body together. And as a result, it's been difficult because, as you can imagine, so no, not like that. They don't do open casket. It's just a cultural preference. And of course, with the devastation, a lot of dental records can't be used because people got their teeth knocked out, their skulls crushed. They've been relying on DNA, and so unfortunately, to the horror of some people, there have been discovered that they have been assembling bodies out of parts that didn't belong together from the same person. So this is what happens. But it says that if you look at the top, it says over here that it says the death toll. I'm not used to this camera being the wrong way. I guess it's that way. Okay. So up there, the death toll in the Hualien train crash has been revised to 49 people. It was 50. So at the bottom it says the Hualien District Prosecutor's Office on Sunday said finalized the count of the number of deaths in the accident. Okay. So the numbers revised to 49 from 50. And they now claim that all of the remains have been identified and that certificates have been issued. Death certificates have been issued to all the families. So it's horrible. It's a grisly business. And these kinds of things happen, and unfortunately in human history there are many situations, even in like, particularly in military cemeteries, there's the unknown soldier. There's a person that's dead. We don't know who they are. We can't just cover it over, we have to honor them somehow. So the unknown soldiers. So this is the kind of stuff that does happen. So it's just something that unfortunately happens. Now this is the guy that they're holding. His name is Lee. And now I don't want to get sued. I'm just telling you that some weird and bizarre stuff is coming out about how he had apparently with him in the cab of the car a Vietnam worker who's illegal, sources allege, and that guy ran away, and they're trying to find him and trying to figure out what the guy did. But when his truck slipped down, he didn't call the authorities. He didn't call the Taiwan Railway Administration or even 911, which in Taiwan is 119, but it's the same thing. You don't understand what I'm saying. He didn't call the emergency services and say, "Oh my goodness, my truck's it's on the tracks. Stop the train." He called another truck to try to pull it out, and when he pulled it up the hill, it apparently rolled back down in an even more precarious situation. And a few minutes later, the train hit it. And there's been some survivors who were taking pictures out the window, coincidentally at the time, and immediately after, that showed that he was on the premises the whole time. He's been identified. So I'm not making this up. The suspicions have mounted to the point where his bail has been revoked. He's been sent back to jail, and he's being held incommunicado. So all of his assets have been seized because a common thing that people do in Taiwan is as soon as they get into some kind of trouble, they don't even have to actually be in trouble, they just have to be under suspicion, they suddenly transfer everything to their wife or their daughter or somebody else that they trust, and all of a sudden they can say, well, I don't have any assets, I'm broke, so you can't get anything out of me. And so they have seized his assets to prevent him from doing this. And so, yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I want to welcome everyone on YouTube and also on Twitter Live, which you can tell because Twitter Live has the Periscope, icons. So far, we don't have anybody who's joined us so far from YouTube. Oh, wow, look at this. Now, you know me, I'm eating tonight, and I want to show you a couple things. Let me go on the back camera, and I'll just show you what I got here. So I love broccoli, so I got some broccoli here too. And these are the bacon wraps over here. And this is his marinated pork, and boy, it is really, really, really something. And this is just crazy. What I can do is temporarily, I can go ahead and get rid of the, and just show that to you. Okay, whoops, sorry, the wrong thing. I'll show that to you, without the comments overlay. So that's what we got going tonight. All right, so now we're going to go back to the comments overlay. There you go. And the comments have been mysteriously cleaned out. I actually, as far as the widget, I got to talk to Jake about this. I would actually like a timeout, because we had that on Streamlabs, where if a comment would appear for a certain period of time, then it would just fade away, and I like that a lot better. I think it's better for the stream. I still have access to the other comments. I can go over here and I can show my chat view, and I don't think you can see this though, can you? But let me know if you can see that comment, because this is the chat view, and the chat view is a little different than the widget. You can see that. That's pretty good. Hi Frank, how are you? Yeah, I see your name there. So if you can see this, that means that those chat comments are working, and I should be able to just do that. All right. Now today, I was looking around my local store. Thanks. Excellent. So how are you, Frank? How's everything with you? I saw a pretty cool ad today for a new kind of a tent trailer, like a pop-up trailer, and it's a super flyweight. They made it out of carbon fiber and some other stuff, so it could be towed like by a really, really small car. Now here in Taiwan, we have so many different ethnicities. One of the ethnicities is Filipino, and so one of the benefits that you can get is having products from all over the world. And this is Tondenya Manila rum. Now, if you guys have never had rum from the Philippines, see all these awards and stuff on it. There's two kinds, two big ones in the Philippines. I've had them both. I've been to the Philippines and have drank both of them, and some other ones that are not so widely known. But Tondenya, and the other one is Tanduay. And this tastes like butterscotch in a bottle. This is unbelievable. It's 40%, so this is it's 80 proof. This is like a whiskey, so you drink it like that. But I add soda water to it. And when I was in the Philippines, a lot of the ladies were drinking a little lighter version of 30%. They're drinking it with Sprite. And it tastes like liquid candy. It's like butterscotch. So I have, it's written in Chinese. This says soda water. And hang on a second. This is from, hold on. Sorry, I got to read this Oh, okay. This is from Miaoli. This is made in Taiwan, but they have another kind that's actually made in Thailand, but they're all the same. And you know, a shot of the tanned away and then soda water makes it nice, like almost like a spritzer. And it's butterscotch flavor. And the great part about it is it's non-glycemic. So if you got diabetes or pre-diabetes, you don't have to worry about it because there's no sugar in it, even though it's made from sugar cane. It's a fermented product, but it is also distilled. So yeah, I know what you mean. And I have a recumbent trike, which is, you know, the recumbents are those bikes that have the pedals out front. But I have a 3-wheel, I have 2 wheels in the front and 1 in the rear, and I can tow trailers with that too. And believe me, I have entertained the idea of circumnavigating Taiwan for about 2 weeks, doing that and camping. But it's very difficult with an 8-year-old daughter, and I take my family responsibilities very seriously, so I won't be doing that anytime soon. But yeah, that's a pretty cool thing to do. The other thing, though, is I don't know if you've seen the Hennessy hammock. It's kind of expensive, but this Hennessy hammock is a hammock that, you know, that has kind of an offset diagonal kind of opening, and when you jump up into it and the way it closes, it's almost impossible to fall out. And a hammock like that, especially if you've got like the snakeskin covers to you know, you just slot them and it's packed. It's done. You roll it up. I could see myself taking a trailer with my recumbent trike and a hammock, but I'll tell you what I would take. Take my Dutch ovens. Just, hey, you gotta eat. Dutch ovens are incredible for camping. I actually brought my Dutch ovens from New Hampshire to Taiwan. I haven't told this story. You know, when I was finally moving to Taiwan, I took a big case, went to there's a store in the United States called Home Depot. It's similar to B&Q in Taiwan. I got a big tub, plastic tub, huge, with a locking, you know, the kind that you'd fit in a bed of a pickup truck, and a locking lid. And I filled it full of stuff, and I brought it to the airport, and because I had, you know, 150,000 flyer miles, I was eligible for extra privileges and things. And they said if it fits under, you know, if it fits in the little square hole that the luggage, you know, conveyor goes through, it'll go on the plane. And it did. Looked about that much. And I had one more thing left, and it was my 12-inch super deep Dutch oven. And he said, "We're gonna charge you extra for that." So how much? $99. I bought the thing for like $20. It's made in China. Went all the way to America on the boat. Sold for $20. And I paid $99 to bring it to Taiwan. Many of you may say, "What are you, nuts?" Yeah, and I recognize that. It's a legitimate question. At that time, which had been 2004, couldn't buy Dutch ovens in Taiwan, but now they're all over the place. There's a company called Snow Peak from Japan, and there's some others from Canada. And of course, you can get the Lodge Dutch ovens here. But I'm going to tell you something. These Dutch ovens here in Taiwan are like $150. So even though I paid an outrageous amount of money to get my already purchased Dutch oven here to Taiwan, it's still cheaper than buying a new one. What I did buy though is I bought the covers. The covers here are cheap. The cover's really nice too, because one of them has a cloth web that comes up with a drawstring, and it covers over the top of the Dutch oven. And the camp Dutch oven, as you know, have a lot of ash from burning the wood or burning the charcoal on top. Because the Dutch ovens, they have the rim on the top. Because on the lid is where you want to put the top heat. So that's all the things that I wanted to show you from the Taiwan side. We covered all that stuff earlier, but mainly the fact that they revised the death toll due to problems with identifying, whose arm goes with what body, and that kind of stuff. And once again, the level of destruction of the train. That's pretty incredible. Now, around the world, everybody knows the Shinkansen, the Japanese bullet train. And our high-speed rail here in Taiwan was a miniature version of that. That wasn't a high-speed rail, though. That was the regular TRA, the Taiwan Railway Administration, but they still have streamlined trains. That was the fast model. And they were going about 120 kilometers an hour, so I'm talking about maybe, was that 75 miles an hour? So, the thing about the high-speed rail is that the Japanese really showed the world how to do that. They really did. You need an elevated, dedicated track with no other traffic on it and no possibility of collisions with cross traffic like from automotive traffic, because it's not a ground level. And that's how the Taiwan high-speed rail is. It's an elevated track, and it's purpose-built. And so you're never going to see, like it hit a truck at a rail crossing, because there are no crossings. But of course, this kind of stuff, like what happened in with the this tunnel, is if they do construction and they engage in practices, that cause accidents. Well, who knows? All right, so I want to thank everybody. And here's what I'd like to do. I'd like you to please follow me, Taiwan TV. I don't really care so much about Instagram, but this is Taiwan TV everywhere except Facebook, but I don't use Facebook because it's too invasive. Please follow me on YouTube. That's where I need the follows. If you're interested in music and recording, Phoenix Media Forge is my Instagram. There is a website at this word, phoenixmediaforge.com. that you can check out. When did you send that, Frank? Is that oh yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, that's cool. That was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? And I remember I replied to that. I love stuff like that, man. I love DIY stuff. Now, as many of you know, I'm recording a new album, even at my age. And so if you look on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com is a music sharing site. And you can find my studio, Phoenix Media Forge Studio, at the SoundCloud site. So things that I put up there are things that either I recorded myself, so I go under the name of recording artist MJK, or I may have been involved in as an engineer. I engineered a session, or I did a mix, or I mastered it, or somehow, had something to do with it. So please check that out. I would very much appreciate that. Now, once again, this is a picture I took back in 2016 at the Chingsui area, and those are the 2 railway tunnels that were involved in this accident. And it's the one on the left, because in Taiwan, for the direction of travel, trains travel on the left. So if you look at the 2 tunnels, the one on the left, you would be looking at the rear of the train as it was entering the tunnel, and the one on the right would be the head of the train. So if you see what I'm saying, they drive on the left, so to speak. And above that is the highway. Those are the tunnels for the cars. Now, let me see if I can. Let me see. Will this? Hold on. I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to try to do this. Sorry, the wrong one. I'm going to try to. I hate when I do this. I'm going to try to do this and see if I can. Yeah. This is the whole picture. Let me go ahead and there you go, and maximize that. That's what the whole picture looks like. So you can see, oh, okay, just now again, okay, thank you. Now you can see some of the scenic beauty of Taiwan. It's unbelievable. It looks more like Hawaii than Hawaii does. And, yeah, they could do all the Jurassic Park movies here. As you know, we just had a big holiday. There's 2 Sweeping Day, which is an ancestral thing. But then they had a very harmless, innocuous Children's Day. And as a result, Taiwan puts up all these different, like, little theme parks and stuff. And in our area, they had like a theme park just for the weekend. And it was called Play with the Wind. And everywhere I go in Taiwan, I'm too big for that stuff. They go, oh, there's a 100-kilogram limit. I'm like almost 20% over that. And so, yeah, wherever I go, oh, you're too tall, you're too big, or they'll just come out and they'll just say rudely, oh, you're too fat. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your assessment. So, my wife and Phoenix went on this ride, but I didn't. This happens a lot. So, because of the population density in Taiwan, people don't realize it's an island like it's about 350 miles long, okay, but we have the population of Australia at, 23.8 million people. So it's crowded sometimes. So they'll wait in line for an hour to do something that'll take 30 seconds. But I just want to show you this. I showed you this the other day. I'm going to turn the sound off because there's just no point in having the sound on. But this is my wife and Phoenix. Oh, sorry, I don't have my gimbal, which makes it, for a very smooth. This is handheld video, but that's my wife getting on the zip line, and that's Phoenix behind her. And so she's going to go down the zip line. And my wife rode that zip line, like she works for National Geographic or something. It's just like amazing. Okay, then the next one is Phoenix. And for some reason my voice is kind of hoarse that day, so when I yelled I was like, Phoenix. Anyway, but she heard me and she gave you the Asian sun, a picture taking with a big V. And there it is. But at the end, she bounced. And the bounce kind of hurt. She got like a rope burn. And all these places in Taiwan, they've got kind of like a little first aid center. So we went over there. They gave us a little bag of ice. You can see it was red. No real abrasion. It's just kind of like the harness, is down here and it's hooked up to the thing overhead. When she bounced, it kind of, rubbed up against her neck, and she's 8 years old. And so she used the ice for 20 minutes and everything was great. Boy, this broccoli. Broccoli is just off the charts. Now, what time is it? It's 22:33, which, for me, to start a live stream, was actually kind of early. But the interesting thing is, there's nobody in here. Let me go on the back camera. I'm at a table just like that with those cool, I don't know what those are. Maybe stylistic roses or something, It's black and white design. And there's the, the drinks ice box. And then he's got a TV up there. And the TV has, it supports Android TV, and I've already taken it over with my TV app, so I can change channels and turn the sound up and down or do whatever I want. That's pretty fun. And then over there is the Vietnam breakfast. And then behind me is the boss, Mr. Wu. But I will tell you this. I was there last night. This place was rocking last night. Sitting over there with a couple of Taiwanese guys and talking about culture and things, but I get a chance to get a little rehearsal in because I bring my guitar down. And, these people here are very kind. They like to hear me play, and that's fun. So I got a little Bluetooth speaker. I play some backing tracks, and then, so there you go. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna wipe my face. It's just a tad warm. Usually so I'm wearing my jacket because usually there's a breeze blowing. Like last night, it was quite a breeze, but tonight there's nothing. Might as well just take it off. Right. See, during U.S. Daylight Savings Time, if you're in Eastern Time, Mike, fist bump to you. I'm doing well, man. Thank you. How's everything in Waterford? if you're in the East Coast of the United States, during daylight savings time, if you want to know what time it is in Taiwan or all of China, which if you ask me is ridiculous, I just change AM to PM or PM to AM. You just change the sign. But, I mean, I've been in 48 degrees north, just like, you know, well, I've been on the border with Russia, you know, and having that time zone, everything's the same time zone. I mean, we were going to bed at 10 o'clock at night. It looked like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's crazy. That's how you do it. It is. It's nice and clean. It's got extra rooms back there. But you know, Mike, 9 is not bad if it's really sunny and there's no wind. I love it because, you know, you're not sweating. And we talked about this before. There's no mosquitoes, there's no bugs or something. It's great. So with the pandemic too, you know, Frank, that's going around. Some of my friends would like to have a little, you know, get together and something, have something to eat, maybe play some music. So he's got a couple rooms in the back that you can rent, and they're like cheap. So you can rent a room for like $30 or something, you know. It's nice. I'm actually, didn't say this publicly yet, but I'm actually meeting with an accountant, business consultant that I know here in Taipei, talking about some business ventures that I want to start. And I'm thinking about moving my studio maybe to one of these rooms here. So, yes, exactly. Yeah, that would seem rare, considering how, you know, even though those latitudes are high. I mean, everybody knows that you know, the British Isles are. Hope I didn't make a faux pas by saying that, but the British Isles are, you know, they're regulated by the Gulf Stream. So, yeah, this kind of, yeah. When I lived in New Hampshire, I tell this to my Taiwanese friends, and they're flabbergasted. Sunday morning, I'd wake up, and I would trample with my feet a trail in the snow out to my barbecue. And it would be like not a cloud in the sky. Sapphire blue sky, just white, bright sun, huge sun. I take my jacket off, and I take my outer shirt off. I leave my undershirt on, you know, but because when you trample the snow down, because the snow's up to your waist, so, you know, you're in a trough. I wouldn't even clean the snow off my barbecue, you know, one of those offset Texas smokers. I would just scrape the snow off to get the firebox door open, and I'd put the wood in and the kindling, and I'd start a fire and just let it melt it off. And then I'd put my pork ribs on. It's so much easier to regulate the temperature for barbecue in winter than it is in summer. Summer it goes nuts, it goes crazy, but in winter, man, I mean, you can crack the, you know, the input, the intake, just slightly, and it makes a big difference, you know. So it's you can get some very precise adjustments. Whether in the summer it's, you know, it's either hot or it's really hot. So anyway, yeah. Oh, I see. Well, Mike, mean, my speech, I try to reflect realities, you know, and if there is such a thing, and you know, 'cause we've known each other a long time, I try to reflect common sense, but I would never like purposefully say something the wrong way just to hurt somebody's feelings. That's just not what I do. But yeah, because you know, there's the old, you know, dairy or London dairy debate, you know, and it depends on what side of the political aisle that you happen to be seated on, you know, and so to some people I would say dairy, to some people I would say London dairy, but not because I'm taking the, you know, the position. I just don't want that. I don't want to prejudice what I'm saying. As soon as they hear that, then they stop listening. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's the divided world that we live in. Yep. So, interesting. You know what, though? It pains me, though. It bothers me to see things like that. Because the thing is, and Mike, you know this, people like us, who are not politicians, you know, we don't care about, like, I've heard countries, I've heard the Crown say that they won't give up, you know, 1 inch of territory for sovereignty, but, like, does that really matter? I mean, we would just, like, allow things to happen because we don't have a stake in it, we don't care. You know, it's about money, it's about taxation across, you know, borders and import duties and tariffs and things that we don't care about. But what comes to mind is Pakistan and India. Now, as Americans, listen to American media talk about Pakistan. You know, Pakistanis and Indians are the same people. You know that, right? They're identical. They have a language in common. Their religious practices are virtually identical. The people are the same genetically. It's just that Pakistan is a religious state and India is a secular state. But they're identical otherwise. They shouldn't be separated. They're the same people. It's dumb. But we don't take sides. Yep. Yep. See? J-Boy, you wrote that comment from India, and you said that I'm right. It's a failed state. But not because of the people. Pakistani people are just like you and me. All they want to do is just work, make enough excuse me, money to support their family, and you know, and have a little bit left over to have some fun with, right? Right. So, yeah, I know. I know. Right, but a lot of it, okay, so you want to talk about, now of course, I lived in Taiwan now for 17 years, so I'm not an expert, but compared to most people who don't live in Taiwan, I am an expert. And it really has to do with like a 70 or 80-year-old feud between Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong, you know, and the communists are kind of like a Gila monster where they just latch on and they don't care about anything else because they're just biting, and you got to kill them to make them let go. But the thing is I've been to China like what 4 times, I met some really cool people there, you know, and they walk up to me. And the funniest thing is, in China, when people walk up to me, they expect me to speak Chinese. They talk to me in full-on Chinese. I was like, well, that's interesting. And so, had some nice conversation. I met a young couple, a man and his girlfriend. And, would you take a picture with us? Yeah, sure. Would you take a picture of us and all this stuff? And I told them I was going to, you know, put their picture on my blog, and they're like totally cool with it. And we had some nice conversations, and none of it, zero political, none of it. They don't care about politics. They don't care about Taiwan. They ask me, where are you from? I said, I'm American. I live in Taiwan. They're like, oh, that's so cool. You know, so left to our own devices, we would get along, but we're not. So, yeah. But part of it is, J-Boy, is the human tendency to not be humble and admit that they're wrong, they made a mistake, right? Humility is usually not something that you will find world leaders displaying. That's why China can never back down about Taiwan. I know what's going to happen. I'm reluctant to publicly say what's going to happen, but I will say this: it's not going to end well for China, because it's kind of like when I was a kid. There's a guy who used to sit, you know, behind me, and he would go like this, you know, to my ear. I'd be sitting in class, and I'm like. So finally, he did enough times. I turned around to him in the class. I go, "What's wrong with you, man? What are you, stupid? What are you doing?" And he looked at me. He goes, "Wow, you really got a problem. This is what's going to happen." Tell you what. Let me make a prediction. And you guys can see if I'm right. Because I really do not care about politics. And you know that. I've said this publicly many times. I don't get involved in politics, but I understand it really well. It's going to start. All right, you guys listening? MJ predicts it's going to start in the Philippines. There's going to be a war. It's going to be short. It's going to be really sharp. It's going to start in the Philippines. It cannot involve Taiwan. It's going to start in the Philippines. Japan, U.S., Philippines, India, Australia, Vietnam, and finally Taiwan. It's kind of like a bully fight. You guys know what I'm talking about. Growing up, every neighborhood got a bully, right? Comes down the street, what do you got? Let me see that. Oh, that's pretty cool. And he takes it home and he steals it, right? Or your money. Give me your money or I'm going to knock you one, right? So he does it to all the kids in the block. So they all have the same bully that's bothering them, right? Until one day some kid goes, no, I've had enough. And he hits the bully, right? Yeah, it's going to hurt. But the Allied forces aren't going to be the ones that are hurt. I hate to say this. I'm going to tell you something. You know, when I think about war and killing people, and you guys know me for a long time, I get the same feeling of disgust and distaste when I think about racism and divisions and things like this, it just makes me physically ill. But it doesn't mean that I can't recognize what's going to happen. And I'm not taking sides. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. But in the bully fight, the whole block runs down. You know, all the kids on the block, they run down to where the fight is, right? And they're watching. And as soon as the one kid hits the bully, it doesn't do much to the bully because the bully's really big. And the bully starts wailing on the little kid. All the rest of the kids go, now's our chance. He's got his back turned. He's busy. And they pile on him. And one of them finds a bat and explains it to him. Hey, bully, we're not going to do this anymore, because every single time that you pick on one of us, you're going to have to pick on all of us, and this is what's going to happen. People are sick of it, and what I mean by people, I mean the country is sick of it. So, due to the YouTube algorithm and the fact that YouTube and Google are heavily invested in the Chinese Communist Party, I may get my YouTube channel suspended for saying this. You know, well, I can hire Amazon AWS, I can hire a content delivery network, and I can do my own live streaming to my own website anytime I want. And that's the age that we live in. So here's the thing. China said 6 years ago they wanted a sharp, short war with Japan for the Senkaku Islands. Remember that? They didn't do it. China has ongoing conflicts with 18 nations. They have no allies. So yeah. So here's my prediction. There's going to be a coordinated effort among all those nations that I just mentioned. It's going to start, because here's what some people don't know. Chinese just enacted a new law that enables their Coast Guard to fire on any incursion of their sovereignty and, this is important, their developmental interests. That's like so broad. They could just say, well, we want to develop this reef, and you're in our way, so boom. Yep. Well, that's the other thing. So, if you ask me, I think you probably send one Gurkha for every 50 PLA. I pretty much take care of them. But again, you know, the idea of war is just so disgusting, but they're bringing it on themselves. So I think a coordinated effort of all those countries. I think Philippines are going to try to kick out their little China's so-called maritime militia, you know, the privatized fishing boats. I think that the Chinese Coast Guard is going to fire on one of those Philippine war vessels, and I think that Ronald Reagan is going to sail over the horizon. It's going to be over. No wonder the prophet Jeremiah said, mankind is walking to look where his own footsteps are going. I mean, seriously. Sometimes, right, I stop and I look down and I go, where am I stepping? Oh, whoa. Is this safe? Whatever. That's what's going on. So anyway. So Mike, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. How are things going? And when are you going to be able to come back to Taiwan? That's the big question. You coming back this summer? Because if you are, how many of you would like to see Mike and I do a live stream together? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? To be honest with you, I hate talking about this stuff because it's negative. But you know, when you live in Taiwan, they have, at the end of my block is an armored division, and they have 1,500 missiles pointed at itself. Open up what? You mean, are you talking about like lockdown? So we're not under lockdown. Anybody that comes here, they just have to go through a, through the quarantine. But, I mean, you have to have some kind of a, well, yeah, I mean, you have to have some kind of a reason to come here, either through, marriage or business or family or something. But it's open right now to people who like study. I mean, there are, I can't tell you how many, I think there's something like 15 or maybe 20, J-Boy, I don't know. There's a ton of Indians here studying. Lots of them. I know many of them personally. I met them at the universities, and they're all, studying high-level stuff, all obviously PhD. They come to Taiwan pretty much with a master's already, so. Well, that's good. Okay, well, excuse me. Keep me informed, and don't worry, Taiwan will still be here. That'd be great. But, yeah. There's a travel bubble right now with Palau. It's going to open up. That's true. Indians are everywhere. And I will tell you, J-Boy, an Indian trait that I've noticed is that whenever Indians are at the airport and they have the announcement that our first class passengers may board now, all the Indians get up with their coach tickets and they go to the front of the line and they argue. I see that every time. So you're saying, yeah, the government where you live is doing that. See, J-Boy's agreeing with me. That was not an insult and not meant as an insult. It was an observation, but J-Boy agrees with me because he knows I'm right. I've seen it a million times. I often wanted to go up to those guys and say, excuse me, gentlemen, they were calling first class passengers. Wow, you're riding first class. Let's see what they say. That made me view this racist, though. Why would you get left behind? That's a ridiculous paranoia. I've never been left behind. Even when I was late. Did I tell you guys the story of when I almost missed a flight in New Hampshire? And what happened? It's really quite an amazing story. Did you hear this? This will be good because we'll get off that other topic. Yeah, I almost missed this flight. What happens is, when you travel a lot, and I hate to say this because it sounds so snobbish, but sometimes the travel just becomes so routine, you don't think about it. Yeah, I'm going to Taiwan. Next week I'm going to Thailand, then I'm going to Laos, now I'm going to Japan, I'm going to Borneo, and right. So, I'm going to give you a chance to stop me from telling this story. So, if you want me to stop, just say stop. If not, it seems to me I told the story, but it was like maybe a year ago. Anyway, boy, I'm having a blast. This stuff is great. This is dinner for me, and I love this broccoli. Very lightly deep fried in oil. Cayenne pepper and black pepper. Oh. Bye-bye. Great job, Offen. Bye, Hujama. I ran out of the kind of pepper and the white pepper, so he's got. Oh. Best we could add some of that. Just yet. Fantastic. The service here in Taiwan is just beyond, incredible. Okay, now I haven't heard any objections, so. No, not at all. Where we live, there's no problem at all. And the good news is, though, and this may seem odd, but you know what I'm talking about, Mike. We're coming up into the typhoon season, right? Typhoons serve a purpose in Taiwan. Typhoons do two things. They clear all the plastic bags off the island and put them in the ocean where they belong so sea life can choke to death on them, on the bags. But the second thing is, it fills our reservoirs. And so, no, it's only been, you said Sun Moon Lake, right? That's considerably south. Here, we've had no water rationing. Now, Mike knows, but many people may not know. Taiwan does not have, a pressurized public water system. What everyone has is, a pipe. That's right. No, it was. It was. It was crazy. I kept telling my wife, I said, typhoons make for great live streams, you're in your house and it's going, so you don't belong inside. And you guys have seen me do some typhoon stuff and some heavy rain stuff, but no, it wasn't like that this year. We didn't have any typhoons. The Philippines got all of them. Of course, the Philippines got devastated. Here's a bizarre thing. The Philippines don't really have a water problem. But my friend's village in Santa Nino, which I went there in 2011, since that time they've been hit like 4 times, like direct hit. That's just above Tuguegarao City in the Cagayan Valley. And I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is, but the Philippines, excuse me, Philippines must be on the disaster list every year. Okay, disaster says, who are we going to hit? Yeah, okay, well, we're going to hit, this volcano is supposed to, in the Philippines. Yep. So, anyway. But yeah, but we're coming up now because it's April. So in the next 60 days, we should be seeing some typhoon activity that's going to come close to Taiwan. But it may just get sucked down to the Philippines. Or, the other thing that it does, if you look at the map, is it takes a turn and goes up and whacks Japan. So we just don't know. But there is one fortunate thing though. Where I live is the western coast of Taiwan. And pretty much, I mean, no matter what hits the East Coast, we don't feel it that much in the West Coast. I mean, one of my friends had one of those collapsible garages. You've seen the kind, the accordion kind of garage. It's made out of a frame that can kind of like go like this, like a caterpillar, and cover the car. Now, that was destroyed by a typhoon one year. But you know, like 2 villages disappeared on the other side of the island, because our mountains are 3,000 and some meters high. So you got these mountains that are 10,000 meters high. So the typhoon hits these mountains and it has to like go over the top of the mountains, and by the time it's done that, the mountains have basically scrubbed it down to almost nothing. The bad part is though, right, exactly. And if you look at my Periscope broadcast from back like I think 2016, I talked about, you know, that was our how that was our protection, the mountains. But if you look in history though, so you got, you know, Taiwan sitting in the Taiwan Strait. Sometimes a typhoon will come in from the Pacific and it'll go whoa around Taipei, and it'll come around the other side and whack us, or it'll sneak through the channel between the Philippines and Taiwan and come up on the other side, and that's when it's bad. Because they don't slow down. So 2 different stories is right, and 2 completely different outcomes. So this is a better discussion. I didn't want to tell that story about how I missed the flight anyway. But yeah, that's what it is. So we have typhoons. Oh, see my reflection. Like, oh, how's my hair? Yeah, very much so. But the typhoons do serve a purpose. Now, of course, I was joking about the purpose, right? With blowing the bags in the ocean. But that's what they do. Many times. See, Asia, let me see if I can describe this. Asia is usually shrouded in some kind of mist. You go to the mountains and it's very, I don't know what the word is, maybe spooky, ethereal, I don't know, but there's a lot of mist, and it looks mysterious, and you see these Chinese paintings from antiquity, and I mean, they're not based on the artist's imagination. They're based on the real thing that they were looking at with this, misty-looking thing. And after the typhoon blows away. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, typhoons are just hurricanes. That's what we call a hurricane in the eastern hemisphere. In the western hemisphere, it's called a hurricane. And sometimes after the typhoon, the air is so incredibly clear. And especially if there's a new moon, I'll go outside and I'll look up and I'm like, wow, I never saw that many stars before. Or no matter where you are in Taiwan, you can almost always see mountains. Yeah, okay. Yeah, cyclones is another true. Good thing is though, anywhere in Asia, East Asia, South Asia, everybody knows the word typhoon. Thanks, Mike. Fist bump. Appreciate you joining, man. Always a pleasure. Enjoy that nice, clear, sunny, 9-degree weather, man. The air is probably nice and crisp and pollution-free. Oh, I love it. Sounds great. But the good news is, J-Boy, that you can say typhoon or typhoon pretty much anywhere, and yeah, everybody knows what you're talking about, right? But everywhere in Taiwan, you can almost always see mountains. And where I live, my town, Hukou, is kind of like on a plateau. So I get in the highway, and I go down to the next town in Jubei. It visibly goes down on the highway. You can see it going down, right? And behind the city is a beautiful mountain vista that you can only see maybe 10% of the time. I'll be in the car with my family, and I get on the highway, and we'll round that curve, and we'll start heading down the incline, and I'm look at that, talking to my daughter, I call her Pumpkin. Look at that, Pumpkin. Look at that beautiful mountain creation. It's incredible. Yeah, super clear area, exactly. That's not a bad place for the air to be coming from, though, I'll tell you. And even though it's not cold, the post-typhoon air is just... Reminds me of the movie The Day After Tomorrow, where the astronauts are on the ISS. And he looks out the window and he says, I've never seen the air so clear. Pretty amazing. Yeah. So there you go. Oh, it's fantastic. These bacon wraps are just...
英文讲英文啊，你们不会说会英文，你们菲律宾人应该会啊，对啊，人家讲英文啊，那很好啊。
不好意思，我有一点点太慢。
看，等嘛，就在做直播。
So evidently some Filipino people came in, and the boss is encouraged them to speak English, but so I'm a little bit busy now. So anyway, I'm gonna say goodbye. You guys take care. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining Taiwan Live TV. Please follow us on YouTube. I need follows on Twitter. I need follows on YouTube. Thank you so much. You guys take care. Bye bye.